welcome to today. It is May 10th today, and I believe, is this the last edition of Ever Talk?
The last one, Zach.
Is it the last one?
This
Man.
year.
For this group, for
Yeah.
this year.
Let's just take a second to just, appreciate all the great conversations we've had over the course of the semester. It's been
Great work, gang.
and just the fact that we were able to have people like we got a libertarian, we got a conservative, we got some
I prefer nationalist.
nationalist, sure, whatever you want to call it.
Discussions, I mean, of course.
Reasonable discussions, of course.
Oh, I do love this.
I think we broke them down. I think we broke them down with the connections we were able to make over this.
Absolutely. We have lots of reasonable discussion.
Okay, so today's topic we're going to be covering is, of course, today and yesterday's breaking news is James Comey was FBI Director was fired. Former. There's no replacement yet.
You can no longer claim such title.
Funny story about that. He was actually in, Las Vegas, I think, and addressing some of his agents, and it actually appeared in the back of the room. Because in the room they were in, they had TVs, everywhere. And it came up on the screen of the TV, it's like, oh, you guys are funny, like, because, he's FBI director. He thought it was a funny joke to play on their boss.
Mm-hmm.
So then someone had to come up on stage and actually tell him.
That's hilarious.
You're fired.
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard.
But that's really, if you're gonna fire someone, have the decency to actually fire them. Don't be announce it and then be like,
It's
by the
Okay.
way.
Okay. We elected
national
Donald Trump
press.
to office. All senses of normalcy and anything in all previous
You
established
fired.
practices are gone.
I'm surprised it
I just think, though, it's from his standpoint, or from my standpoint, I guess, is that he did it in a very unprofessional manner. I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, well, he's fired, and then all of a sudden the only way he finds out is because he's seen the news in the back of the room. I mean, if any company, if they're going to fire someone, they pick up the phone, they call them, they say, hey, come to my office, we're going to sit down and talk about, such and such. Then, they fire you there, They don't just say, oh, well, they don't text you and say, oh, hey, you're fired right away. It's very unprofessional.
Since when has Trumpian politics been behind closed doors?
Well, I mean, he's a businessman, though. I mean, I'm sure he's fired a lot of people.
I'm sure he has.
I don't think you just fire someone via texting them. I mean,
But he's done it on national television several times.
Yeah, and I mean, he was a jerk all the way through his private career. He was a jerk all the way through the campaign. What made you think he was going to stop being a jerk when he's leader of the free world? I mean, come on.
Well, I just feel like a leader of the free world has a certain standard to meet, and obviously
Trump's
he
changing
wasn't
that.
able to make that with Comey. And, Comey's not the first guy to be fired by Trump. So we also have, I might butcher his name here, Preet Bharara.
Yeah.
He was the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of people say he has the toughest job in the world when it comes to being an attorney because he, looks at fraud on Wall Street and stuff like that. So he was investigating Trump under the claim that Obama wiretapped Trump Tower, and the tower that he was specifically referring to was the one that is in his jurisdiction in New York. And so it just so happened he was investigating that, and it didn't really lead anywhere. And then I can't remember I've been reading this, and it said that he investigated Fox News too. It doesn't give me a specific reason as to why he was investigating Fox News, but it does. It's just he's investigating Fox News, and all of a sudden he gets fired, even though Bharara, it said in here that he was not expecting to be fired, that Trump assured him that his post was going to be kept, but instead he gets fired for investigating his best friend of Fox News. Then you got Sally Yates, former Attorney General under Obama, who not only investigated Trump for his ties to Russia, but also warned him on 2 separate occasions about Michael Flynn and his possible ties to Russia. Obama did the same thing, and Trump's excuse for that, oh, well, he's from the opposing party, why should I trust him, like Obama or whatever, and Sally Yates. And so while her time investigating Trump, she also got fired and is now replaced by Jeff Sessions. Then James Comey, once again, another person investigating Trump for ties to Russia, asked the government, say, hey, I need, more resources to get further, in this investigation. And what happens the next day? He gets fired.
Well,
Is that just coincidence that he's getting fired? All these people got fired for investigating his ties to Russia?
No, I get what you're saying. Okay, here's the thing. Him firing Comey does not help his credibility one bit. Him being a jackass on Twitter does not help him one bit. Him sending out the world's worst cheerleader, Sean Spicer, does not help him one bit. However, This investigation's been going on since like October, and they found how many solid pieces of evidence to suggest that there's collusion?
Well, we have a House and Senate that's controlled by Republicans that I'm sure are doing everything in their power to make sure Trump isn't coming.
And how many of those Republicans absolutely hate Trump? You got John McCain, Lindsey Graham, Ben Sass.
The entire Freedom Caucus. I mean, it's the fact.
Well, okay, let's use an example. What was it? What's this? Nunes. He went into the White House in the middle of the night to tell Trump, hey, here's the latest on what they got up on you. So just thought I'd let you know. He doesn't report that to the office that he's working for. He instead just goes tells Trump in the White House. So, I mean,
okay, again, it doesn't help Trump's credibility any bit. But what piece of evidence has been brought forward?
I don't know. Maybe because it's being given to
Or
all the
maybe
wrong
because
people.
there is
Yeah,
none,
maybe there
because
is none.
It's been going on for what, 6-7 months now? I'm bad at math. Somebody help me out.
And you've
Since the investigation,
Yeah.
or since the election.
Since
probably,
before
yeah.
the election.
Before the election.
Well, they don't need to bring it forward until they have a case, or they don't have a case.
Comey said there was no evidence, and he still fired him. So
It's just like going to the police department and now, and they're investigating murder and asking, okay, what evidence do you have that this person did it?
If there is
They
no,
don't need to, there's no obligation for them to tell you.
if there is nothing there, why is he so quick to fire these people?
I don't think he's quick.
Well, Sally Yates refused to enforce the immigration order, which I think was the main reason he fired her. So
Because there's a clause that says that you cannot discriminate on immigration based on religion, gender, or race.
even though that he didn't ban immigration from the largest Muslim majority countries like Indonesia, Pakistan, India, and henceforth. He only banned immigration from countries that are torn apart by war, but no, he's racist for
A
trying to
list, by which I'll remind you, was made by the Obama administration.
And Obama even banned immigration from Iraq from a short period of time. Did anyone call him a racist?
No, but he didn't go around shouting Muslim ban, Muslim ban, Muslim ban.
We're going to
on
keep
TV.
Muslims out of this country. I mean,
No, he's radical Islamists that want to kill Americans.
Yeah, that have chopped off our reporters' heads. They've killed our soldiers. They've burned the soldiers of our allies alive. They throw gays off a building. Are these the people you want in your country?
And it's these countries that are riddled with these horrible people that have made the cut. For
Well,
Trump's
no, of course we
basis.
don't want that, but we just can't throw it away every law in the book just to keep them out. I mean, just because you're a Republican, oh, I'm not going to let you in the classroom. I have no right to do that.
No, but he's the president, so he can do that.
Yeah, and
That
It's in the
And it
name
has
of
nothing.
safety.
It has nothing to do with religion. It's coming from countries that are completely torn by war. Syria has no real control over its people. Okay, it's completely split into how many different tiny little states controlled by ISIS. You've got the Kurds. You've got Rojava, that like anarcho-communist sect in the north. And then you got Yemen, which is a complete failed state. Libya is a failed state. Iraq is just barely functioning.
and what percentage of those countries have you meddled in?
Oh, all of them. Yeah, I'm not defending that.
And so, why are we so quick to jump on the bandwagon of keeping them out, even though we're the the very people who destabilize probably at least 95 to not all of those countries?
Because
What gives us the right as a country to say, okay, we'll screw over all these countries?
and then allow them to bring in people that are going to kill us. Yeah, because that makes it all good. Reward death with more death, because that makes sense.
No, there are legitimate people trying to flee from this horror, and what we're doing
Then
is
why don't they
saying,
go to the Gulf states like Saudi Arabia or Jordan or any of those other
It's not like
nations
it's-
right
because
next
they're-
to that have the same culture?
Saudi Arabia is a very religiously dominated country. They have a police called Vice and Virtue. There are certain parts of the Quran that you blatantly, like, women aren't even allowed to walk by themselves in Saudi Arabia. Like, that's how crazy it is. You'll get sent home or you'll get arrested.
Yeah, and that's the culture that all these people have that they want to bring here.
Not
Look at
they don't
Europe,
want
where
to
these
bring here.
where these immigrants are raping people living in Germany and Sweden and all sorts of the European countries. They allow these refugees to come in. It brings chaos and nothing more.
So our
Okay, so-
women bring chaos to the lives of these people
Hold
that
on one second.
I'm not defending that. I'm just saying we
So tell
shouldn't
me-
reward
so tell
chaos
me-
with more
so
chaos.
Tell me that you have all of the, James Holmes shot at the theater in Aurora, the two kids that shot up everybody in Columbine, all of these shootings, Sandy Hook. Okay, these are all white males.
What does that
are
have to
doing
What
this.
does that have to do with these refugees?
What does
You're making
their
it.
religion have to do with whether or not they can come in?
It's
the
not the
country?
religion,
Yes,
it's
they're
the-
Muslim,
it's
but
the
that doesn't mean
culture.
they can't come in.
It's the culture.
I don't want you
Their
in my
religion is
school
part of their
because
culture.
you're white and you're a teenager. And because other white teenagers have shot up people and killed people, then I don't want you in my school. That's the same
That has
thing.
nothing to do with ethnicity. We're talking about a culture that
the
promotes
religion is
beauty.
part of a culture of a group of people, and it's always portrayed in the light that because they're Muslim, we still have the stereotype today that because they're Muslim, they're bad.
No, it's because they're
The
radical Islamists.
stereotype used to be that they sell oil. Now it's because since a sect of Islam has been responsible for the death of so many people and the oppression of so many.
So we just let people to live and die in the countries where radical Islam is present.
Well, instead of bringing in untold numbers of people to our country without vetting them or anything, why don't we help them take their countries back?
Because we've tried that. Have you not?
Have you not seen all the dictators who tried to put power there?
Hey, I'm wearing a shirt of one.
We're not getting anywhere on this, Claire. Here's the thing to remember, though. Like the past 5 presidents before Trump, this is a temporary immigration ban. Okay, it's temporary. It's in order to fix the vetting program so that we can take in these innocent people that don't want to do harm. It's in order to vet against the people that want to say death to America and everything they stand for. It's in order to get to those people that want safety and want sanctuary from these awful people. You understand what I'm saying?
No.
It's got nothing to do with happy-go-lucky Islams, but it's got. I mean,
We're still taking people from Pakistan. We're still taking people from India. We're still taking people from
For
Indonesia.
humans.
Yeah, and it's also Muslim majority countries. Okay.
What does that have to do with anything?
Because you said that we're discriminating based on religion when we're clearly not. Because if we were, we would have banned Indonesia and all these other countries.
You literally just said that they're a majority Muslim. What does that matter?
it matters because you were talking.
You were saying that we're banning Muslims, but we're
Did you
banning
not-
people coming
go
from
back 30
destabilized
seconds.
countries.
Did you not just hear yourself that we're banning these people because they're a majority Muslim?
I never said
You
that.
turn right around and go say that we're not banning these people on religion because we're not banning this country.
No, I'm saying that people with this awful, disgusting, radical Islamic ideology are using a refugee crisis in order to infiltrate the West and bring untold amounts of chaos to our countries. Look at France. Look at Sweden. Look at Germany. All these countries.
How would you feel if you and your family were in one of these countries and you wanted to come to America to escape this hell that you were living in? And they said, no, you're from that country, you must be a radical Muslim, get the hell out of
Well,
here.
we don't have a system to bring in the
That
people who
wasn't
want
the
to do
question.
good.
That wasn't the question I asked you. What would you do?
The
if you
whole
got turned
purpose
away?
of this ban
You're
is
not answering my question.
I am answering your question.
What
If
would
you'll
you do?
just quit your crocodile tears and allow me to talk, I will give you my answer. The reason we had this ban in the first place is so that we can get a proper system to vet the good from the bad and allow the people who may want to come here and start a good life to come in without bringing in people who want to rape our women and blow up our buildings. Why is that so difficult?
Well, why has it taken 4 or 5 different...
Because the government is incredibly incompetent. Have we learned nothing from the VA, or the Obamacare? Have we learned nothing from our interventions in Iraq and Afghanistan? The government does not work. That's why it's taking so long. And when you have when you have an activist judge out in Hawaii who bans the immigration ban, blocks, whatever, that only makes the process ever more slow.
If he's sitting here writing executive order after executive order for these bans, why isn't he just getting straight to the problem and fixing the vetting process? He has the power to do that, doesn't he? Why doesn't he make that the main priority? If it's really what he cared about, why wasn't that his main priority?
I'm sure it probably is being worked on, but that still doesn't stop the fact that until the system is in place, we're still bringing in thousands of people without a proper system to vet them. So you still have the problem of bringing in terrorists to our country.
Okay.
We good?
Say like
We're all good.
We all got 2
All right.
seconds.
Fire!
I'll get your wipe your eyebrows. All right.
So, Comey. Okay, so
Why wasn't he fired months ago? If he missed
Yeah, I mean-
the Hillary Clinton. If
I mean,
that's the real
If you
reason.
fired him too early, it would have looked like that Trump is actually trying to subvert the investigation. Trump waited until James Comey said that there is no evidence tying him to some Russia conspiracy theory to finally...
That wasn't his
there's
reason.
a couple
that was
things I
not
want
his reason.
to point out here. Is so James Comey himself was being investigated by the Inspector General of the United States. I don't know, but for the way he's been acting with the FBI, making sure he's been using it properly, utilizing resources properly, and so And also, FBI directors tend to have a term of 10 years. He was only 3 years when he finally got the axe by Donald Trump. And so,
Think about this.
here's
Think about how many times he kind of went back and forth between the sides of the aisle. I mean, when he said, "I'm going to investigate Hillary and see what kind of dirt she's got hidden in her emails," Republicans cheered and Democrats said boo.
I know,
Then
I did.
as soon as he said for the first time, because this happened multiple times, "I didn't find any evidence," Democrats said woo Comey and Republicans said let's oust him.
No, I
Then
didn't.
he opens the investigation back up. Republicans said yay Comey, Democrats said boo Comey. I just think he's way too.
I think he's incompetent, and he was just trying to play to both sides to try and get everyone to like him when he should have just been trying to do an impartial, honest job.
And I'm not arguing that he's not that, because
Well, it's proven that he sucks. Okay, so it's good that he's
I'm
gone.
not arguing against that. I'm arguing against the fact that why was it that when he was investigating Trump that he got fired?
and he himself was being investigated. If anything, Trump should have waited until the Inspector General got done with his investigation of Comey and the FBI, just before even just firing him straight out. I mean, it just seems so weird that, I mean, if he was so concerned about the Comey and reopening the investigation of the emails, he would have fired him day one when he was in office. But instead, he waits, now
And he didn't take
130,
office as
140
soon
days
as
in.
he won the election.
And now all of a sudden, oh, well, gee, I really feel bad for Hillary right now. Guess I'll fire him, like, that's not how it works.
I mean, I said it earlier. I don't think it helps Trump's credibility whatsoever.
No matter
All
what,
I'm
no
saying-
matter what he do, the optics would look terrible.
All I'm saying is that this investigation's been going on since October. And the fact is that there's no evidence to support the claim that Trump had collusion with the Russian spies and the Russian hackers and the Russian WikiLeakers. So
That you know
that I know of, that anyone knows of.
They hold these hearings over the investigation. I swear, everything they ask, the responses from every investigator is, oh, that's classified.
Yeah, I love every single one of those hearings. Did you find classified intel? Yes, prosecutor. Can you share that with us? No, prosecutor. I love it. It's from every single.
I mean,
drives me freaking nuts.
if there is or isn't something, let us. I feel like people have a right to know. These hearings are supposed to be about figuring out the answers, right? And so they sit here and just do basically a little, back and forth between, did you find something? Yes. Sure? No.
Yes, and this is how we know that big government is bad, because obviously they're saying no to revealing any kind of evidence because everybody's got political dirt on everybody.
To me, I just find this really.
Heck yeah. That's bipartisan.
I can agree with term limits. But-
Yeah, right.
Building some bridges. There we go. Building bridges, and then we'll build walls. Might be a little too soon.
walls on the bridges.
Fair.
A Great Wall.
To me, all this is just kind of weird to me. That's all.
Nobody ever said this would be a boring administration.
Oh, hell no.
I just go back to term limits. I just think a lot of these problems would be solved if they were solved.
Oh, absolutely.
There wouldn't be enough time to set up any of this.
There wouldn't be enough time for politicians to vote to give themselves a nice little pay raise, and people wouldn't be able to
Try to exempt
bed with all
themselves from
these
their healthcare
private
bills.
interests.
Yeah, I'm not okay with that. That needs to be ironed.
That pissed me off.
Well, they did it with Obamacare too, so slimy politicians will be slimy politicians.
Yeah, I mean, term limits would easily,
Probably
because
solve like 90%
career politicians
of
are,
problems.
I mean, if you look at all these people who have been in office, they've been in office for probably, many of them 2 decades, some 3 decades, some people 4 decades, it just, these.
But no, they're all in touch with the common people.
Mhm.
They know.
Sounds a
Yeah.
lot like a Vermont senator, I think we all know. But okay.
Sounds like
Sounds like a lot of people.
Trump has never been in office.
sounds like a billionaire who's been in the game for, a couple decades now.
The business game?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with being in the business game, my guy.
Sounds like a lot of hoopla.
But, what I'm saying is, though, a lot of these people are, even
There
Trump,
is something wrong with
he is
that, though, but that's the
disconnected
way.
with a lot of the plights of the average American. I mean, he's lived in wealth his entire life. I'm sure some of our politicians have just been born into wealth. You know, they inherited, they made it. Some of them never worked a day in their lives.
So is Jimmy Kimmel, and then here he is talking about how great the Affordable Health Care Act is. I mean,
So I'm bringing premiums up on everyone and kicking people off their health care plans. And
it's real nice when you hear people that make 7 figures a year talk about how we all need this really affordable health. Yeah.
Well, he even pointed out, you know, okay, I'm wealthy, I can afford this, but the problem is that a lot of Americans are not in my situation. I mean, he takes his time as, you know, even if he's wealthy.
He uses anecdotal evidence, which I'm happy that his kid got the surgery that he needed or whatever the situation was.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's incredibly gross to use
That to promote
kind
your
of
politics.
anecdotal evidence to promote your
I
policy.
think it's incredibly gross that the Republicans trying to kick 25 million people off health care.
What does it matter? It's still evidence. I mean, the healthcare does affect children. What's the difference?
What's the difference in what?
Using like that as an example, like what you had said about.
It's
using-
the
What's the difference in a guy that probably makes more money?
It doesn't
than I'll
matter, it
ever
doesn't
make in my
matter.
entire
He
life
didn't
to-
say that, oh, I
to try
can't
to
afford
improve.
this, I can't afford that. He's talking about all these other people that have to make a choice of whether or not to basically,
So rich
Why
dudes
should
are
Trump
okay when
die?
they have the right politics.
I mean, he even talked about how great the hospital and the staff that he went to get this particular operation.
A private hospital.
The private hospital that gets like well over $200 million a year in donations and volunteers. I mean,
but there's a lot of hospitals that don't. I mean, when I was, and just in class the other day, it's like lifetime coverage limits. Before the Affordable Care Act, there was a lifetime coverage limit. So you're telling me that within a month of being born, I was already at $500,000 worth of health care. So I've already used up half of my entire lifetime in 1 month of being alive. How is that okay?
I don't think that's okay, but I also don't think it's okay
But
to
it's also up to the
mandate-
insurance companies without the regulations that are on there. So regulations are bad, 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 but what does it matter?
Regulations are
You
bad.
have-
If you take the regulations away, open it up to competition, get rid of these stupid, like, you can't operate interstate, open up the market, I'm telling you.
But that doesn't matter.
If you increase
Drive the costs down.
if you increase competition, it's going to make healthcare providers try to provide the best service possible instead of
Yeah,
needing
try to make the most money. That's why it's happened before. That's pre-existing conditions. I mean, at one point, and even now, we all have acne. Pre-existing condition. None of us can get health care. That's okay to you? Because that's what the insurance companies want to do, is they want to add as many pre-existing conditions as they possibly can.
Pushing
because
rape
they don't
as a
want to
pre-existing
pay out
condition.
any.
Yeah,
That's
pushing
the one-
rape as a pre-existing
That's the one
condition is
that annoys
absolutely
me the most.
stupid.
You know, that was awful.
I mean, the Republican Party isn't trying to get rid of the pre-existing conditions.
But states have the option to opt out of pre-existing condition.
Well,
I mean, if they're so concerned, they would make it a requirement. Not saying states have the option to opt out of it, like.
I've personally never claimed that the American Health Care Act is perfect, but it is a step in the right direction. I hope the Senate irons out all the BS issues.
Why do we need to repeal and replace Obamacare? Why can't we?
Because it sucks.
Why can't we
Why
just
can't we just fix
improve
what's
on what's
wrong
there?
there? Why do we have to completely take it out, take out all the good stuff, and replace it with a bunch of shit?
Because with the exception of the pre-existing conditions, the entire bill is screwed beyond belief. That's why. And I
So like even the part that gives us healthcare to 26?
Yes, because how, okay, tell me how I'm supposed to pay my mortgage and pay all my bills right now, which, I have some money left over, but if this thing passes and my insurance decides to drop me and I have to pick up my own through work, I'm paying over $500. And I can't have my fiance on there unless we're married. And she can't afford it. She barely makes over $300 a month. Tell me where you're gonna go find a healthcare plan for that much. What are we supposed to do? Do you have an explanation of what I'm supposed to do now, if that goes through?
Well, I do think in addition that the American Health Care Act also would allow people to stay on their health care plans until 26. But the real issue
Well,
with
that's not part of it though. It gives it up to the insurance companies. So it's totally up to the insurance companies.
So basically, we're going off the free will, or well, the good nature of the insurance company.
I'm giving it up to capitalism.
well, if they want to have happy clients, they're going to try and do everything to make their people happy. And when they don't, and when they have a lot of competition, you're going to have healthcare companies that are going to allow you to stay till you're 26, that aren't going to deny you to pre-existing conditions. So, I mean, if they want to keep their clients happy, they're going to do all these things, or else they won't have any business and they'll go under. The reason you have these healthcare companies that really provide like crap coverage, just for lack of a better term, is because they have no competition. They have no one to go up against. So they can do whatever the heck they want within their area of coverage. So that's where a lot of these problems with private healthcare come from.
But do you forget the main goal of an insurance company is to take in more than they're putting out? So
Yeah.
if they have half of the people of the next biggest company, but these are all healthy and they're not paying out worth anything, and the big company has twice as many people, but 75% of those people are sick and using healthcare, they're making less money with twice as many people. That's the amount of people and the competition isn't what matters. It's about the
They look
profit.
at your probable risk factor for them having to pay out to you.
They want to make as much money as possible. And if I can sell things at a higher price, I'll sell less of them and still make more money than you would in your health company with more people. But you're also spending more on all those people.
Like the kind of my own incident, like I got into a car accident once, right? I totaled my car, and all my insurance company had to do was through State Farm. All they got to do was pay out $2,000 to me to get a new car, since we had car insurance. Right after that, they dropped me because I was high risk. Like, you know, if it's just one case that determines whether you're going to get insurance or not, and whether they drop you, if healthcare companies could do that, I mean, sucky situation.
I'm just saying, no.
It took us months to find a new person that would actually take me on a plan. I mean,
And that's just car insurance.
yeah.
You're not. That's just about a hunk of metal. That's not talking about someone's life.
All right, guys, I think we ran over a little time today, so we're going to have to end it right here. But we hope you enjoyed this entire season of River Talk. We really appreciate you watching.
Build that
Thanks,
wall.
guys.